Hi there, Michelle here, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm making another granny square project. I say it that way because I feel like all I've been doing lately is making granny square projects. But here's the thing, I went to the Mary Maxim tent sale. I was not expecting to buy as much yarn as I did. And it's not even like I bought a bunch of different yarns. I basically just bought a bunch of the same yarn. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know I would find it there, and then I saw it there and I'm like, oh no, I need to buy all of them. And that's these. They are the Premier Minikins chenille granny square yarn, and they make one granny square each, and they were on sale. I believe the original price was like $3.47, and they were all on sale for $1.97. And I bought 12 of them because there was 12 different colors. And of course I had to try all of them. Like, here's the thing. Currently I am working on a loon sweater. It's a knit sweater. It's going to take me a little bit more time. So I thought, you know what? I'll work on some small camper projects, not expecting that I was going to find this yarn. And then the yarn came to me and I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do with you now? I'm gonna have to make granny squares. This yarn is so cute. I didn't even know it existed. It is a chenille yarn and it is so soft, and it's by Premier, and I love Premier yarns. They're Premier Parfait Chunky, one of my favorite chenille yarns, because I don't use chenille yarns a lot, but it is so incredibly soft. And pretty much every single time I go to a Mary Maxim tent sale, I end up buying one or two of those skeins. I know I could have just bought 12 of the same color and they would all match, but I'm not like that. I want to try every color to see how they are. And again, I didn't know this existed. These yarns make one granny square, and they make this little granny square here. So adorable. And they also have really cute names. This one's called Sunset. I love it when yarn brands have cute names for their colors. I'm not going to go over all the colors right now. We'll just go over the colors when I get to each color, because there are so many of them. Again, I bought 12. So there looks like there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, which I'm pretty sure the all-in-one granny square by Red Heart is also 6 rows. It's just, I don't know how big these are going to be. I'm kind of worried now. What have I gotten myself into? How big are these squares going to be? I don't think there's any instructions on the inside. No, it's just telling you to like go to the website. There is a little ruler inside, but there's no instructions on how to do your granny square. What's really interesting though is that at the inside here, it has a date and it says 2024. These squares have been around since 2024 and I'm just discovering them now. Where were these for the last 2 years? Anyways, I have them now and they're all on sale. So it's kind of maybe a good thing that I didn't know they existed, because then I probably would have paid full price for them. I got these at the Mary Maxim tent sale, and this tent sale goes till, I believe, September the 7th or the 8th. I did end up getting this yarn here. It is the Premier Parfait Chunky. I love this yarn, and because this is Premier and they're both chenille yarns, perfect together. They're both a super bulky 6, and they both say that I need an 8mm crochet hook for these. And just looking at the little gauge swatch that they give me here, they match up. So I know that these are going to be good. What my idea is to make all of these squares and then do a join as you go border with this yarn. I ended up getting 4 of these. I was thinking about getting 3, and I'm like, let's just get one more to be safe. So hopefully this will be enough yarn to join them together. Now, the whole reason why I kind of want to do this project first is I really want to make a blanket for my cat, Whispers. He keeps sleeping on my iPad cover that I had just made last week. I use the Karen all-in-one granny yarn, and he keeps sleeping on it. Every chance he gets, if it's on the bed, he will sleep on it. If I'm using my iPad, I'll take the iPad cover off and I'll just put it next to the iPad, and he sleeps on it. And he loves it. And I'm like, maybe I should crochet him something for himself. That's kind of why I want to make this project as well this week. And then next week, either the loon sweater will be done or I can start the camper projects. But I just really want to use this yarn. I don't know, just something about this yarn. I'm just so excited to use it, and I don't think I can wait another week to work on this project. I also love doing these types of review videos. So for anybody else out there who sees these yarns, are like, how are they going to work out? How big are they going to be? I will do a review on them. You know, at the very end of the video, I will be talking a little bit more about how these yarns feel, how they look, the size of them. Do they line up where they're supposed to line up? I hope so. The last time I did it, I did these cotton squares right here. And what I did is I actually put the square number I did, and then the rows. So there was only 3 rows. And what I did is I went through it, and if the color lined up where it's supposed to line up, I put a check mark. If it didn't, I put an X. And I have to say, out of all of these, there was maybe like 6 out of 14 that were perfect squares. So what I would like to do with these ones is write down, so on one side, I'll write down the color that it is, and I will do a check mark or an X for each row for the 6 rows to figure out if the yarn worked out the way it's supposed to. Because again, these are granny square yarns, which means they will change color on their own, and I don't have to weave in 1,000 ends. Do you see why I love this type of novelty yarn? Also, it's novelty yarn. If it doesn't work out, I'm not going to be mad about it, okay? I think it is a fun yarn. I think it looks cool. I just love the novelty of fun yarns. And I love reviewing them, and I love testing them out. So that is what I think I'm going to do this week, is another yarn review video. But I also really want to make a blanket for my cat. So I make a blanket for my cat, I review some fun yarn. It's a win-win. And hopefully he'll like the blanket. The last time I made him something, he didn't care for it. Although it was a Halloween costume, and he was not having it. But he was the cutest little sad clown. If you are new to my channel and you like crocheting and knitting and yarn and thrifting in the 80s and this general vibe, then why not hit the subscribe button? If you subscribe to my channel, then you will be up to date with all of my latest projects and videos. I really want to be working on my knitted sweater right now, but I am just so curious on how these work up that I need to try it. So it looks like it is a center pull, just like the other granny square yarns, just because the last row all looks like it's white, and I see the white on the end, meaning the white is at the end. Middle color should be like a baby pink. The other granny square yarns that I've dealt with, they have given me a little graph, a little grid, instructions on how to do the granny square on the actual label. There is no information on this to tell me how they want me to do the granny square. I think I'm just gonna do a granny square the way that I normally do a granny square, and we'll see how that goes. It says to use an 8mm crochet hook. I'm gonna use a 6, and we're gonna see how that goes. But I don't know if a 6 is too small. Okay, so I have a lot of extra yarn. I think I'm going to size up to a 7. I still have way too much yarn, so I'm going to go up to an 8. Still had a little extra tail. That's fine. So now I'm going to do the next row. It's very interesting. And I feel like my tension is very loose, and I would have liked these to be maybe a little bit more tighter. Like when I was doing it with the 6, it looked really good, but I still have way too much yarn. I've never had this problem. I've never had this problem with any of the granny square yarns, or I've had too much yarn. All right, so I went up to a 10mm crochet hook, and yeah, it worked. I'm gonna try the next row. Just want to get one square done just to kind of see how it goes tonight, because I also really want to get some knitting done. Already having some problems. I wanted to do like a 7mm, and it didn't really work out, so then I switched to this, which is an 8. Then I went to the next row, and I had so much extra white yarn that I cut it. The next row was fine. But every row after that, I have been short. So I think I'm going to switch down to a 7mm hook. I think it's going to be a lot better too, because this is like very like floppy. And if it's a 7mm, I think it'll be a lot more tighter, and it won't be as like floppy as it is right now. I'm just like playing around with these yarns. I only got to make 12 squares. They're very big squares though. I still have to do another row. I'm running out of yarn, and I think the plan is I'm going to go down to a 7mm crochet hook. And if I have too much yarn, I'm just going to cut it and then weave it in. I'm okay with that, because I really like the colors and I really like the yarn itself, that I'm fine with it. Here's the thing, if it was just like the regular acrylic red heart yarn, I'd be a little bummed out if the tension didn't work out, that I had to like cut the yarn. But this is just such fun, squishy yarn that I'm okay with having to cut the yarn if I have to. I'm gonna do this again in a 7mm crochet hook and just see how it goes. I went down to a 7mm hook, and I really like the drape of it a lot better. Yes, it is still floppy, but it's not as bad as it was with the 8mm. I do have ends to be woven in. If I have to weave in ends, there's only 12 squares, so it's not horrible. I know it's meant to be done with an 8mm crochet hook, okay? I understand that. So when I did the 8mm with this color here, the light pink in the middle, I did have a long tail at the end. When I went down to a 7, I just made the tail a little bit longer, but I did have too much, so I had to cut it. The next row, the white row, way too much yarn. I actually, at one point, like yesterday when I was like trying to figure it out, I went to a 10mm crochet hook for the white and I still had too much yarn. There was just way too much yarn in the white, so I cut that. The red, a little bit too much yarn. This pink color, too much yarn. But here's the kicker. This fuchsia looking color, not enough yarn. And I took it apart 3 times. What I did to make sure, because I knew, because there's a lot of yarn, I was doing 3 chains in the middle and I was doing a chain space in between each of the clusters, like right here or like right here. But when it came to this fuchsia color, I first did it like the other ones, too much, took it back. So I took it all the way back to the beginning and I did 2 chains in the corner and no chain spaces. And I still didn't have enough yarn. I am missing 1, 2, 3 double crochets are missing. And then the last row, I have all this. So I'm pretty sure that this is supposed to be like the join as you go color if I were to sew them together. Karen, cotton granny yarn, take note. This is what we need if you say there's going to be enough yarn on the end of each square to tie them together. If you watch that one review, I was reviewing the Karen all-in-one granny square yarn, and in the directions it said that you'll have up to 10 inches of leftover yarn from the last color, so that way you can seam your ends together. Most of the time I got maybe 4 inches of yarn, not even that much. One time I even got like a half an inch. This one doesn't tell me anything. There's no directions on how to do the granny square, so I just did the granny square how I normally do it. But I do have this much left over, and if I were to sew them together, this is probably what I would use, but I really don't like sewing chenille yarn, anything like this, because I feel like if you're weaving it in and out, a lot of times it starts to like break. So I just don't want to do it with this one. This is done in a 7mm crochet hook, and even with a 7mm crochet hook, I still didn't have enough yarn with the fuchsia color. I really do like the drape of this a lot better with the smaller hook. This one is called Candy Hearts. I'm going to pick another random one, and I'm just going to do random ones, you know? Let me go grab another one. The next one that I picked is this one here. This one is called Tea Party. This one looks really cute. I would love it if it worked out a little bit better than the last one, but I'm also kind of hoping that it works out the same as the last square. That way I know what I'm doing for each row. So we'll just see how this one turns out. I just finished Tea Party. I love these colors together. They look so good. So for this one, I actually only had a little bit extra of the first color and the second color. Again, way too much. But for the 3 colors here, no extra. The last one was still a little short, so I didn't do any of the chain spaces in between the clusters, and I only did 2 in the corners, but it worked out really well. And then obviously the last row had a lot. The white rows just have a lot. Yesterday, when I was working on the first one, I was just having such trouble with it that I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I gave up. And then I was just been worrying about it all day. But, you know, now that I've kind of like figured it out, these aren't that bad. Still better at the moment than the quilt motif ones. Those are still at the bottom. These are looking pretty good. I love how soft they are. So I think these are going to make such a good cat blanket. I'm just going to pull them out at random because I feel like I'll just pick all my favorite colors and then I'll be stuck at the very end doing the colors that are like not my favorite. They're all really pretty, but you know what I mean? Put my hand in. I got one. All right, we're going to do this one, which is one of my favorites. This one here is called Sunset. This one looks really pretty. Okay, this is the one I'm doing, but I just want to check the other labels. Yeah, it looks like every single one, the second color is white and the last color is white. I'll go do this one next. I don't know if I'm going to do one more after this, but we'll see how this one goes. I feel like this one was kind of like the first one that I did. Like I had a little bit too much yarn of each color, except for the 5th row. But yeah, they're all looking pretty good. I would have never put gray and orange together, but I really like how that looks. I think I'm gonna do another one. So let's shake the bag and pick one out. One random one, this one. Oh, okay. What is this one? I think this is the beach one, isn't it? This one is called Beach Bound. So that's what it's going to look like. Update on the squares. last night I was able to get done 4 squares, which means I only have 8 more squares to go today, and I may or may not get them all done. I've got this one's tea time. Love tea time. This one, and I finished with this one last night. This is the beach bound one. I think these are so incredibly adorable. They are pretty much the same size as the Bernat granny squares, maybe a tad smaller, but I think they're the same size, but they are like so much lighter. That's the only way I can describe them. These are so much lighter than the Bernat. They're very like fluffy and bouncy, and they're very cute. Remember how I picked this for the Join As You Go? I think this color for the Join As You Go is going to look so good with all of the squares. So far, the squares are kind of working out the exact same. I was really worried because, as you know, the only really experience that I have is with the Yarnspirations Granny Square yarn. Every color has its own quirks. So I was really worried that every one of these would have been slightly different. And they're pretty much the same. So there are some ends that I have to weave in. It's not that bad. Like, I'm okay with it. I really like how this yarn feels and how it is that like I'm fine with weaving in a few ends. Only doing 12 squares, so it's not like I'm doing a ton of squares. They're pretty big squares, a lot bigger than I thought. I can't wait to see what they're gonna look like when they're all done. I'm really excited to see what this blanket is. I know another blanket project. I don't know, I don't mind doing blankets. And I mean, if this blanket's for my cat, that's okay. It is kind of nice working on these. Also, I am working on my loon sweater right now, my knitted sweater, and that's like really thin yarn. And it's a lot of work. And then going back to here where I get to crochet and it's a really chunky, soft yarn is kind of a nice break from the knitting. I'm hoping to get maybe the last 8 squares done today, and then tomorrow I can start joining them. This project is going by pretty fast, I think. At the beginning, I wasn't too sure how I felt about these yarns, but they're kind of growing on me. I'm going to pick another color at random. Not looking, okay, I have a yarn in my hand. We're gonna be doing this one, and this one is called Raindrops on Roses. That's adorable. You see, yarn can have cute names. This one, I feel like should have been called like Lily Pad or something to do with like a pond or a frog or something, just the way that the colors are. Not looking, putting my hand in to grab one. All right, it's gonna be this one, and this one is called Horizon, and it should look like this. What is kind of neat about these squares is you don't see all the colors. So if it wasn't for this little drawing here, I wouldn't know that there was a darker orange or a red inside of there. Okay, look at that. So I wouldn't have known that this dark orange or red was even in that little skein of yarn. So here is Horizon. I really like these colors together. I mean, like, of course I do. It's oranges and yellows. If the middle part was brown, it'd be perfect. This is the 6th one that I've done, so I am officially halfway through the squares. Going to pick out another one at random. Okay, we're gonna do this one. I have been looking forward to doing this one the entire time. This one is called Berry Cute. I don't know if that's a good name. Maybe it's because it's like a teddy bear color, maybe? Because it's spelt like a bear instead of berry, like a fruit. Let's try this. I wonder what this one's gonna look like when it's done. I take it back, I actually really think the name is cute now. It's very cute because these all look like colors that like teddy bears would be. I get it now, and I actually like the name. Before I'm like, but now I get it. These colors are so pretty. I just wish that was a little. It's where the 2 colors kind of joined. I probably should have cut it and just started a new one. It's fine. I think I'm going to do 1 more for today, and then I'll have 4 to do tomorrow, or maybe I'll do 2 more today. I don't know. I might do 1 more. I might do 2 more. I might do 1 now, do some knitting, and come back and do another one. But I do have Crochet Club, and I haven't been there in a while tomorrow, so I really want to go. And I don't want to bring the Join As You Go with me. Like, I don't want to get all these done and then the only thing I have left is Join As You Go, because that's a bed thing. That is something that I have to lay out on the bed and do that. I'll do 1 more, take a knitting break, and then come back and do 1 more, and then save the other 3 for tomorrow. And then do all the Join As You Go tomorrow, because I always forget how long Join As You Go takes. It takes a really long time. I'll be able to get it done tomorrow. So let's go pick out the next color. I think that my favorite part of doing these is having them in this bag and picking them out randomly. Because a lot of times with the granny squares that I do, it's like the same one after another. Like, I know what I'm doing. Whereas these, because I have 12 different ones, I never know which one I'm going to get. So it's kind of fun. So let's just, okay, I got one in my hand. We're doing this one. So this one is called Geode. So if you look at this, nowhere in this would I thought that there would have been this beautiful green color in the middle. This is what Geode looks like. Yes, there is some ends to be woven in, but I've also kind of come to that point in my granny square journey that I would rather take the 20 seconds or less to weave in one end, then have to take out the whole entire row and redo it. Does that make sense? But I also just love the granny square yarns because they just pick the colors for you. I think this one actually turned out really pretty. I really love this purple color, and I love this, like, it's almost like a jade green color. Toss it on the pile, and there's Whispers next to the pile of granny squares. I've decided that I'm gonna do one more right now. I wasn't too sure, but I'm gonna do one more and call it a day and do some knitting. Let's pick out the last color. All right, I have it in my hand. It's this one. That doesn't give me any clues. Oh my goodness, this one! I've wanted to do this one the entire time. This is another one that I really, really wanted to do. The color of this is called Iris. Those colors look so good. I am really excited for this one. Here is this one done. This one's really pretty. I absolutely love that purple and mint green together. And then like this blue is so nice in the middle as well. So I think this is where I'm gonna stop for the day. I still have 3 more colors left. The 3 colors I have left that I'm probably gonna do at Crochet Club, Seersucker. Then I have this one here called Peony, and it's gonna make that square. That looks so pretty. And then the last one is called Popsicle, and that's what that's gonna make. Really excited to make those, but I am gonna make them tomorrow at Crochet Club. I only have 3 left, so that's great. These are very big squares. So this little guy makes that big square. Minikins makes it sound like it's gonna be smaller than it is, and it really isn't. But I mean, like, the size of the square is pretty nice though. So I'm gonna do those 3 tomorrow, and then I'm gonna join it together tomorrow, and then it will be done. And then he gets to have a nice little blanket.
The next day.
I went to Crochet Club today, and I got done these. I did the 2 new ones. This one, and what's the other one that I did? This one. So I did these 2. This one's looking like the Blue Jays, the baseball team. And then I did this one here called Peony. And then I have to do one more, and this one is called Popsicle. I did weave in all the ends though, so I was able to get 2 done. And then I know I could have done this one, but I'm just like, let me just weave in those ends right now because I don't want to do them later. So I just have to make this one. I have to weave in the ends for this, and then I can join them all together. This right here looks like those rocket popsicles. I used to love them as a kid, but the thought of them hurts my teeth now. Like, I don't think I can eat popsicles because, yeah, just thinking about it, my teeth are hurting. These colors are spot on for that popsicle. And then the next 2 colors is going to be a green and then a pink. This one is now all done, and now I have to plan out where they're gonna go before I join them all together. All right, so I'm first going to sort them out. This is like green and purple. I feel like maybe this one would go with that. This would go here. This one would go here. I think this one would go here. Then we have this brown, this brown, this brown. This one I would say would go with the colorful. This would go here, but then maybe because this has brown, this could go with the brown, and then this can go with like the green. So I first divided them into color zones. The neutral, what is this? Oh, thank goodness. I'm like, did I not weave in an end? So I went with the neutral ones. So these are neutral. Then I have this one here, which is greens. So something that has like a green in it. And then this one here is just colorful. So something that they could have a color in any of the other pile, but they mainly go in here. Now I got to figure out if I want to do 3x4 or 4x3. I think I'm gonna do 4x3. So I think I'm gonna do 4 this way and then 3 down. And then obviously if you turn the blanket, it will be the opposite. He's already using it. So let me play around with this a little bit. This one, and this one all have purple rows at the end, so that's not gonna work. So I'm gonna play around with this a bit, and then I'll let you know what I decide. This is how I'm gonna do it. I actually went through a bunch of different orientations. And I ended up with this one, which was pretty much the very first one that I picked, except I did switch two. I switched this one down here and I switched the one up in the top. The reason is that the 4 in the corners are kind of like really bold with their colors. And so I wanted them to be on the corners and then kind of the lighter ones in the middle. I also put my 2 favorite. Well, that's probably one of my favorite ones over there, but I need that to be in a corner. I think this is fine. This is how it's going, and I'm not changing my mind again. So now time for the join as you go. I'm going to be using the Premier Parfait Chunky, and the color of this again is called Shell. This feels exactly like this yarn, so that's why I ended up picking it. I also picked this one because it's kind of a neutral. I know on camera right now, I feel like it's looking a little bit more on the yellow side, but it is more on like the peach side. And this looks exactly like the peach freezy. Honestly, all these just remind me of summertime foods, mainly frozen foods. It's definitely more peachy than it is yellow. Oh, he's already on it. But that's not for you, sir. I have to make it seem like it's, oh, okay. I have to make it seem like it's not for him, so that way he'll take it, whereas, you know, certain cats, if you make something for them, they won't want it. But if it's not for him, then he'll want it, right? Reverse psychology. Oh, he just wants pats. He's just a good boy. Yeah, he just wants to know what I'm doing. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get it all done. I always underestimate how long it takes to do join as you go. So if I could get more than half of it done today, that'd be great. I was hoping to get some knitting. That's not happening today. I'm strictly working on this blanket. Right, sir? Oh, he's already sitting on it. But will he sit on it when it's done? That's the real question. I have 2 rows. I'm on the 3rd one, and this is still the first skein of this Parfait Chunky. Probably only needed 2. Feel like I always run out of this, whatever project I use. So I just assumed that I was going to run out of it, and that's why I got 4. 4 was a little much, but like the gas that would take me to go back to Mary Maxim to return it would have been the refund that I would have gotten. You know what I mean? So I'll keep them because I really, really love how it feels, and I love this color, so maybe in the future I'll do a project with this yarn. Oh, and Totoro's on the blanket now. Totoro can have the blanket too. It can be the cat's blanket, so they can share it. But I will have to move her right now because I need to work on it. Oh, she's making biscuits. Oh, she's making the biscuits. I didn't finish it yesterday because I knew that I didn't want to like film the outro today. Also, all my batteries in my camera were dead, so it's kind of a good thing I didn't plan on that. I'm gonna finish it today. I'm literally on the last row. All of the squares are joined. Like all the squares are now like together. It's just I have to now do like this and then join that and then join and then go all the way around back to the beginning. I'm actually glad that I did go with this peach color. I think the white would have been nice if I would have sewed them together. I'd rather take the time and do join as you go than sew them together, even though probably sewing them might be a little bit faster. I just like a good join as you go. This is Wednesday, by the way, and I'm pretty sure I started this Sunday. This did not take a long time to do. He is on his new little blanket. So far, so good. Totoro has also been on the blanket. I just wanted to give proof that he is using it at the moment, and I'll keep you updated. Also, I took this photo of him yesterday in it. He's pretty adorable. About 9:30 at night, and he is sleeping on the blanket. I put the blanket where he normally sleeps, so he's sleeping on it. That's good. And then we do have little Totoro. She's sleeping at this end of the bed. Yeah, he's actually using it, and so that makes me happy. Before I get into the full review, I really wanted to show you the size of the blanket compared to me. So I am 5'6". I don't know if I ever told my height, but I'm 5'6", and this is the blanket. It is pretty big. Hey, look how cute this is. There is the blanket. It's pretty big. If I wrap it, it's a nice size blanket. I think I would have liked it to be maybe one more row, so like a 4x4 blanket. But again, I didn't know how big these squares were going to be. I was expecting them to be a little bit smaller because this is supposed to be a cat blanket, and I thought it was going to be smaller. Also, you know, I didn't want to buy too much yarn and then realize I don't like this yarn. I actually do like it. So maybe one day if I end up going to Mary Maxim again, which I will, but if they have it still, I might buy 4 more and then add 4 more onto the end. I just have to remember which colors are at this end because it wouldn't be any of these ones that I would buy. So I just wanted to show you the size of it compared to me before I sit down and do the review. So I guess it's time to officially review this yarn. Before we get into my notes and the overall review, I do want to compare it to the only yarn that is similar to this, and that is the Bernat Granny Square all-in-one yarn, and that is in the house. So we're gonna go and just compare these two, because in my notes, the only yarn that I have to compare to this that is the most similar that I can get is that one, and I really want to show y'all it compared to this, and then that way when I come back here and talk about it, you kind of have a visual idea of what the other yarn that I'm talking about. So let's go and compare this to the Bernat Granny Square blanket yarn. Here is the Bernat Granny Square blanket. The beige color here is the Join As You Go, which is also by Bernat, but it does not connect to these ones. These ones are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the Bernat Granny Square is only 5 rows. Also, don't mind these gaps. I figured out how to do a better Join As You Go after I had finished this. One of these squares, again, I'm not going to be counting the Join As You Go row. This to here is about, hi. So this is about 10, this square, not including the Join As You Go, is 10 inches by 10 inches. This yarn is a lot more thicker. It is the typical Bernat blanket yarn. If you've used that yarn, then you probably know what this texture feels like. It's soft, but not as soft as chenille. Now onto the new square. So for the new square, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's really nice about the Premier yarn, the last square in each row is white. No matter what color combo, it's always white. On this one, it's different, and so that is why I had a hard time trying to find a Join As You Go color, because they're all different. 10. These squares and these squares are the same size. However, this one has 1 extra row. Also, as you can kind of see, those greens kind of match. Yeah, as you can see, they are smaller than this, but because there is 1 extra row, they are the same size. And boy is walking already on here. I also feel like the Bernat yarn is more dull, whereas the Premier yarn is nice and bright and colorful. And I know Bernat did come out with some newer colors for their squares, but I feel like they're still going to be a little bit dull compared to this. It wants attention. I know it's your blanket, but you gotta let me film with it first. If you want something that is super soft and lightweight, definitely go with the Premier one. But if you want something a little bit more heavy duty, then go with the Bernat. They both have their good and their bad. Like this one, I wish it was a little bit more colorful. And not colorful, I just mean more vibrant. It's a little dull, a little desaturated, but I love how heavy it is. This one, I love how bright and fun the colors are, but I wish it was a little bit more heavier. I also feel like this one here, the colors lined up a lot better, and I don't remember having to really cut any yarn and weave in any ends, except for like, you know, where I started and where I finished. Whereas this one, I felt like I had to weave in a lot more ends. It just all depends on your preference, but I kind of like them equally because, you know, they do their own thing. Although I would love to get a better Join As You Go, and I would also kind of love to redo this blanket because they have new colors. And the new colors look a lot more vibrant. I kind of am tempted to do that. We'll see. If they have a really good sale, I might. That's just the comparison between the two blankets. First off, the weight of this is very, very, very light. This blanket is like lighter than the Red Heart all-in-one regular granny square yarn. Now I did make a blanket for my car. If you haven't watched the video, you can definitely check it out. And for that one, I did use the Red Heart all-in-one granny square yarn, just like the regular one. And that one was heavier than this. This is very, very light, okay? Like extremely light compared to the Bernat, so much lighter. Do I wish it was the thickness and heaviness of the Bernat? Absolutely, because that Bernat blanket, although I don't use it really in the summer months, in the fall and winter, it is such a nice blanket to put over like my comforter while I sleep. It's a nice like weighted blanket and I really like it, and I really wish that this was also like a weighted blanket. Again, this is for my cat, even though like I have to also use it, so he thinks it's mine and then he'll want it. All the colors look really good and I love the names of the colors as well. I think they did a really good job with the colors of this yarn. And for anyone wondering what color is what, I took a photo and labeled each granny square, so then that way you can see what the color names are. So if you are interested in buying them and there's certain colors you want, here are all the colors of the yarn. Let's talk a little bit about the price of this yarn. The original price of this yarn was, I believe, $3.47 for one square. I got them on sale for $1.97 each. Let's just go with the original price, about, we'll say $3.50 just to make that even. The Bernat yarn at this current moment, $18 for one skein, and you only get 4 squares in the skein. Per square in the Bernat yarn is $4.50. So this one here, the regular price at $3.50, is $1 cheaper a square. So it's actually cheaper to buy this yarn than to buy a skein of Bernat yarn. Now, if the Bernat granny square yarn was on sale for say 50% off, that would make it $9. $9 divided into 4 is about like, let's say like 2 something. Even if that's half off, with this half off price, this is still cheaper. This yarn, although if you think about it, oh, like $3.50, by the way, Canadian, per square is a little expensive compared to the only other competitor out there for this type of granny square yarn. It's still $1 cheaper. Like it is still cheaper than that yarn. And again, I got this half off. So I only paid, let's say $2 per square. I'm not including tax right now. Half the price per square compared to the Bernat granny square yarn. Although, yes, the Bernat granny square yarn is a heavier, denser yarn, so maybe that factors in a little bit of the price, but these, in the long run, are cheaper than the Bernat. For this blanket here, it took me 10 hours to make, and that is including the join as you go and the weaving in of ends. The Bernat yarn also took me 10 hours. The original granny square blanket that I did, I actually did it 4x3, the exact same dimensions as the blanket I just made. However, I did end up adding more squares on in the future, but I didn't add that time into how long I made the original Bernat blanket. I probably should have, but I completely forgot. But if I would have added on those extra 8 squares and joining those 8 squares, the time would have probably went up to 12, 13, 14 hours. For this, I did end up going with a 7mm crochet hook, even though it told me to use an 8. I felt with my tension and an 8mm crochet hook, they were just too floppy. I wanted it to be slightly denser, even though like this is still very floppy. It feels a lot better with the 7mm crochet hook. And even if I did go to the 8, there was still some rows that just had way too much yarn. So I would be cutting the yarn regardless if I went with the recommended 8mm crochet hook. If I would have went up to an 8 and each row would have worked out perfectly, then I would have stuck with the 8. But because I was still running into the problem of having way too much yarn per row, I just went down to a 7. Because if I was cutting yarn, I'd rather it be the texture and the feeling that I wanted with a 7 rather than an 8. But I just love how it looks with the 7, and I like how it feels with the 7. I think the 8 just made everything just too loose, and I just didn't like it. Like I always mention with these types of squares, it all depends on your tension, what hook you use, how you do your granny square. So it just all depends on like the user of the yarn and how it works for them, because I know a lot of people in my comments say that they need to go up a bunch of hook sizes in order to get the tension, and some people have to go down a bunch of hook sizes. So it just all depends on how you crochet, but for me, I just liked the 7mm crochet hook for these squares. So I'm just going to go over my statistics, I guess that might be what you call it, for each square. I'll put a photo on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. For the most part, every square had more. What I did is, if it's a check mark and it's highlighted in yellow, then that means I had just the right amount of yarn and it turned to the next color right when it needed to turn into the next color. If it's green and it has a plus sign, meaning I had way too much of the previous yarn and I'm going into the next row, so I did have to cut it. If it's red and there's an X, then that means I did not have enough yarn in order to make it to the next row. So I had to like take it back a little bit, tighten it up a little bit. And the only row that I had problems with was row number 5. For all the squares, row 1, row 2, and row 6 all had way too much yarn. It had like a lot of extra yarn, especially row 2. I have no idea where they got their calculations from for row 2. Row 2 had way too much yarn. And row 1 had also way too much yarn. Row 3 and 4, very similar. They either had too much yarn or they had just enough yarn to go into the next row. Those didn't give me a problem. Row 5 was probably the only row that gave me consistent problems. And it wasn't really a problem, it was just a few rows didn't have enough yarn, but for the most part, row 5, like, just had enough yarn to go into the 6th row. Basically, for row 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, I was able to do 3 chains in the corner of my granny square, and in between, like each one of these clusters, I was able to do a chain. Now, row 5, for all 12 squares, row 5, I had to do something different. So for row 5, I only put 2 chains in the corners, and I did not put a chain in between each of the clusters. So like in between each of these fuchsia colors, did not put a chain. And that got me exactly where I needed to go with the colors. What I do have to say is for all the squares, they all were consistent with how they worked up. Unlike the granny square yarn from Red Heart, where each color seemed to have a mind of its own, these ones, even though each one was a different color, they all worked up the exact same. So I'll put a diagram here of how I did these particular granny squares. So if any of y'all are interested in getting this and maybe you have the same tension as me, you'll be able to see what I did, and then you can use this graph to work on these. So for the join as you go, I don't use enough of this chenille yarn to know how much it's going to get me, like how far I'm going to get in the project. So I ended up buying 4. Originally, I was only going to buy 3. And I'm like, no, I'm probably going to need 4. I needed like 1 and maybe a little bit of the second one. Like I got to the second one, I believe started around here. Like this is the top, okay? I started at the bottom, like down here, went all the way up, and I think I needed to use the second one about here. I know I'm covering the mic, but just bear with me. The second one had to go like here, down, over here, and then like all down the side and at the bottom to finish it up. So I only needed 2 of these, and if I were to do another row, I probably still would only need 2. So this yarn gets you really far, the Parfait Chunky. I just didn't think the chenille yarn was going to get me as far as it did. It got pretty far, and again, I really love this yarn, and if I have to do a project that involves a chenille yarn, Parfait Chunky is like the yarn that I go to first. I will use it somewhere, and you know what? Again, if I decide to buy more of these squares and make the blanket bigger, I have enough of this join as you go that I don't need to buy more of it. Overall, I probably give this yarn maybe a 7 out of 10. I do like the feeling of it. I think the colors are really pretty. However, I do wish that the yarn lined up a little bit better and I didn't have to weave in so many ends. At this point of me working with these all-in-one granny square yarns, it's just easier to cut it, weave in some ends, then take out a row a bunch of times and try to get the right tension. Even though like the whole point of this is you don't have to weave in ends, it's faster. I also like the fact that this yarn makes the color decisions for you. Sometimes when I'm making a granny square, I'm like, Should I put these colors together? I don't know. The only decision that I have to do is just pick the right join as you go color. I wish that the yarn was a little bit more heavier, but I know it's chenille, and I know chenille is a lighter yarn. Well, lighter in weight, not in weight of the yarn. It's a 6 bulky weight yarn, but the actual physical weight of it is very, very light. Yeah, like a 7 out of 10 for these granny squares. I really think that this blanket turned out really nice, and it was a very nice break from knitting, because I am knitting a sweater with thin wool yarn. This is being like chunky and soft and crochet and granny square. It was a nice little break from knitting. I hope Whispers will use it, and if he doesn't, I will use it because I think it's really pretty. In the comments below, please let me know if any of y'all have used this yarn. It's been around for a few years, and I didn't find out about it until last week. Or would you try this? I personally love the colors way better than the Bernat. It's also cheaper than the Bernat, but I do like the heaviness of the Bernat yarn. So that's the only thing that's missing from this, is I wish this was a little heavier. So just let me know in the comments below if you've tried this yarn or maybe you want to try it. I think that does it for this video, so y'all have a good day now.